Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the top 5 best class mods for Rafa in Borderlands 4, ranking them, and showing off some honorable mentions, as a lot of these class mods can actually enable Rafa's builds to do crazy amounts of damage, as you saw there in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5. I'm just going to dive right into things first with our honorable mention here, the Esgrimador class mod. Now, this is partially due to the green skill tree for Rafa being his worst skill tree. Now, this one will give your melee attacks a 10% critical hit chance, which is amazing. And critical hits with melee attacks will restore 5% of your action skill duration, which will allow you to stay in your action skill a little bit longer. This one also gives you boost to your overall melee damage, so a 50% increase, which is really nice. Don't get me wrong on this. However, for melee builds, they are just unfortunately not that great in Borderlands 4. Not like Borderlands 3, where we had much more success with things like the face puncher. It's to be seen if we'll see some weapons in the DLC that can enable our melee builds to be a little bit more strong, but unfortunately, this is just not that powerful. This can also give you stacks and dial in, which will increase your melee critical hit chance. However, this is removed whenever you do get a critical hit, and with our class mod, we do get a boost to our overall critical hit chance. We also get to MPJ here, which will give you action skill duration increases, and you can get upwards of 4 to 5 points to the booming business. Whenever we critically hit an enemy, we get a chance to spawn a free grenade. If we have a grenade equipped, it'll drop that grenade with a 6-second cooldown. Unfortunately, a lot of these abilities in Borderlands with cooldowns are just not that good. Now, you can also get a final roll in the accrual here, so our Rafa gains increased action skill with all skills. This is longer. The longer we have our action skill for, the greater the bonus. We can get upwards of 5% per second, and then the max stacks of 20. So you can get actually 10% per stack if you have 5 rolls into this, and then take 5 points into this. Hypothetically, given your action skill, an insane boost to overall damage. However, again, it's just not that great. The melee damage is quite low on this, and melee builds unfortunately suffer from having to get in close to the enemy. And a fun fact, Esgrimador actually stands for fencer in Spanish. Now, to farm this, if you wanted to get it for whatever reason, you're going to go to the top left-hand section of the map and farm it from Callus. Now, there are some purple class mods that are fantastic here. I'm still testing all of them because there are so many to go over, but I'll be breaking down all the legendary ones here now. In 5th place, we have the Filantropo here. So whenever Rafa re-triggers his action skill, he spawns a free grenade. If he has a grenade equipped, that spawns 1 base on that. The skill has a 4-second cooldown. Now, as I mentioned, anything that has a cooldown typically is not that great. There are some grenades in this game that are kind of nice. However, they are getting nerfed coming this week, so I don't think that this one will boost it up to past the 5th best class mod. You do get bonuses to ordnance damage, which is nice. This will always come with that 45% bonus to ordnance damage too, so it's nice if you want to do a grenade build. However, Amon's actually the best with grenade builds. And there's actually another one here that's better if you wanted to do something with grenades. So yeah, this one, it's not that great in all honesty. It does, what's kind of funny is Philanthropo means philanthropist in Spanish, but our action skills that we do get from this one, it is split between the different skill trees. So you can actually get some points into Barrage here, which increases splash damage while Overdrive is active. So that's actually really nice because it's going to give you increased explosion damage. It also gives you booming business. So again, critical hits on an enemy gives a chance to give yourself a free grenade. And then you can also get the Hemolitions here. Overdrive skill, when Overdrive is active, Rafa may use grenades during ordnance cooldown. The cost of his health every time a grenade is used this way, it costs more health until Rafa's grenade fully cools down. So you can actually get an extra point in this and then take this one yourself, reducing the overall health cost of it. And it can also spawn with the Arriba here kill skill. Whenever Rafa kills an enemy, he gets increased ordnance cooldown rate for duration. So again, it's all about grenades. However, grenades are kind of outclassed with the throwing critical hit knife. This is also going to get nerfed at some point, but I don't see that will get a big boost to this overall class mod. The ordnance damage boost is great. Being able to get an extra grenade every 4 seconds is great. However, it just kind of struggles compared to some of the others that we'll have on this list. Unless there's a unique way of using this, so let me know in the comments if you have a fun way of utilizing this, because I am curious. I just haven't found much success with this one overall. And if you want to farm one for yourself, you're going to actually go to Inceptus here and farm it from him. And in 4th place, we have the Buster here. Now, this one's for his blue skill tree in particular, which isn't as good as the red Peacebreaker cannons, but still not that bad. So the Apophis Lance gains a 25% chance to not consume charges. The more charges that are used at once, the greater the chance of this happening, which is good. The damage from it isn't as high as like the Peacebreaker cannons. Like, it does do a respectful amount of damage, but yeah, you get 3 charges of this. You can actually get a 4th charge if you take certain options here. So you can actually have a good chance of getting it back. You got things like the Project Basilisk, the Gorgon, or the Raiju here. I found Gorgon to be the best one here. This turns it into a laser that does damage over time, and it'll chain to multiple enemies. It's a good choice, I guess, if you really like the blue skill tree, because it does give you increased skill damage by 30%. That's going to be a roll that gets on all of them. With this one, I got 40% kinetic damage boost, but you can get a variety of different rolls for the Buster here. So skill damage and gun damage, that's ideal. If you can get a full out gun damage, that's going to be best. especially that 30% gun damage, because that means it applies 5 times to the bod. Ordnance critical hit chance, meh. This one gets another ordnance critical hit chance. It's probably best if you get the gun damage there, or stick with kinetic damage if you really want to use a kinetic-based weapon. It can give you stacks in the Condictivo here, which gives you increased status effect chance and further increased shock chance, which is good. Shocks have the highest damage over times in the game, so this can actually be pretty effective overall. Per my last, so whenever Rafa deals damage with an action skill to an enemy, he gains chance to deal that damage again. And you can see there the double damage chance is 60% whenever we're at 5 stacks in this, and we can then take another 5 stacks, which basically guarantees that you'll deal your damage again. 6,000 damage per second. You can do a lot more with guns, I'll be honest. It's not really that amazing, but it's something, especially if you really want to use the skill tree. You can also get the last Jarez there, so overdrive skill, regenerate ammo while overdrive is active. And finally, the 4th skill you can get from this is Awe. Whenever Rafa shocks an enemy, all shots fired at that enemy are critical hits for a duration. The duration increases whenever you do this. So it's actually a really good ability, because free critical hits, anything that can do that is nice, as there's a lot of weapons in this game that do have some benefits upon critical hits. And Jacob's latest accessories, obviously chaining around to multiple enemies. If you want to do ricochet, it's funny, the left-hand skill tree is about ricochets. This is actually the best ricochet build here. Yeah, as the Apophis Lance doesn't have that crazy high of damage, and you're probably better off using the red skill tree. This does bring this one down a little bit, especially since it's not going to be that really meta of a build. It's fun, yes, but it's not really that strong. We could see this one get actually pretty powerful as the level cap increases, so we'll just have to wait and see how that works. And to get the Buster, we're going to farm that from our Rigo. And in 3rd place, we have the Grenazerker, which is actually very interesting. You're going to see why. So whenever Rafa throws a grenade or a TD gun, he throws an additional one. That obviously is pretty nice. So it's better than getting a grenade to spawn every 4 seconds, because what's better than 1 grenade? 2. And TD guns. This is actually kind of crazy, because there's particular weapons that work very well here. It actually feels like the chuck was made for this, because it's a gun that, as your name implies, you just chuck it. So with the chuck, instead of throwing 1 gun, you now throw 2. So this gun, all you do is you just throw it, so that's what it looks like there. This can actually be a very big boost to DPS if you're using this gun. It's actually a pretty nice gun, because it's going to spawn those 4 Merv grenades there, so you can do some respectful damage. So boom, this is what it's going to look like. You're just throwing your grenades there, and they bounce around exploding. They actually do respectful damage. This is an Ultimate Vault Hunter 5, and it's actually doing a pretty good number of damage here. And it's great for Vile Bounties, because it's just going to explode, destroy all the crystals. So yeah, pretty decent damage. Then if you got grenades, you throw additional ones. I don't have any good grenades outside of my bank here. So with the critical hit knife, you throw 2 critical hit knives. Not really like amazing for that build in particular, but it's fun. It's obviously better with things like the Waterfall, which are much more powerful in terms of their output. But that one's going to end up nerfed. It's getting nerfed. So yeah, pretty powerful gun here though, and you can see we're actually doing decent numbers here, despite this not being like an overly meta build. And the amazing thing about the Grenazerker is it actually will always give you a flat out increase to your gun damage, 30% there, 30% with status effect damage, 30% in critical hit damage. I like to get the splash damage. Obviously makes a lot of sense on this one, because we're doing a lot of splash. And there's the 4 different skills that we can get on this. Obviously the Ariba there, whenever we kill an enemy, you get increased ordnance cooldown rate. This works well on this build, much as it does the other build. Whenever we throw a grenade, we get action skill cooldown rate boosted. That's pretty decent overall. And then here we get our confetti, so ordnance deal bonus damage in his current gun's element. So that's pretty effective as well, obviously boosting up our overall grenade damage. And then Synergia here, whenever Rafa deals ordnance damage, he also gains increased gun and melee damage this kind of stack. So not bad rolls, actually. One of the better ones here, but it's really just here to empower any type of TDR throwing guns. Like there's the King's Rest, which is another, or King's Gambit, which is another throwable gun that's TDR. It works well. Grenade builds can work well. So there's actually a lot of ways where this could be pretty effective. And if you want to farm yourself one, it's just going to the Arc of Radix here, and that's where you're going to farm this from. And in 2nd place, we have the Instigator. Now, I was thinking about putting this one in 1st place because you can actually get some insane damage numbers. However, it's a little bit tricky. So whenever the Peacebreaker cannons fire an enemy, gain a stack of Instigator and lose all stacks when Peacebreaker cannons fire a new enemy. This is where it's a little bit more hands-on than the other class mods, because if you want to keep these bonus damages, you got to really angle yourself and put yourself in bad positions in order to keep this boost up. And you can actually get a really high amount of stacks of these. Like I've gotten 40, 50 stacks of them. So you can actually get an insane amount of gun damage, literally doubling your gun damage. However, it does come at a cost. So this one came with extra kinetic damage. It'll always come with a 45% skill duration, which is actually nice. This keeps our Peacebreaker cannons up for longer, and it's quite strong. All right, so you can actually see it right down beside my health bar. There's a little yellow icon there. So it's just one stack there, and we activate our action skill 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You do have to kind of stick in their face to be able to keep getting these stacks up. But you can see there, we're getting like 30 stacks now, so that's 60% extra gun damage, 40 stacks there, and then 41 stacks. So yeah, you can, if you're in a boss fight with no other enemies around, we were able to take them all out ahead of time. But that's not feasible because bosses will bring out more enemies throughout the fights. And unfortunately, that's what's actually keeping this away from the first place, because it is, as I mentioned, challenging when you have to literally stuff yourself right in the boss's face in order to make sure that it does not lose that boost to the damage. But that damage boost is probably in all honesty, if you can keep this damage boost up, this is first place. It's just a little bit more challenging to keep that. And the red skill tree is Rafa's best skill tree, so you get really great skill rolls with the 4 choices here. So between this class mod, you get the deft hands, increasing your fire rate, and your peacebreaker cannon's fire rate, increasing our gun damage. We also get the concentrated buildup, which gives us, whenever we aim down sights, bonus shock damage the longer we aim down sights. We also then get the El Alcatran, so enemies damaged by peacebreaker cannons have an increased chance to receive status effects. And this is actually nice because it's 1 point, and then we can take 1 point here too, giving ourselves 70% chance of getting that. Also, what's really, really good is lateral planking. Indirect projectiles get a chance to ricochet as well, 50% chance. So you can, I have 2 points in this because this was really good. I've been using this class mod. It turns this ricochet chance from a 25% chance to a 50% chance. It's really nice. I like this a lot, especially if you're doing a ricochet Rafa build. So yeah, this was a tough one. As I mentioned, I could very well see this being the first place one, but our one in first place is also very good too. So that 2% extra gun damage is really nice, and what's great is that 2% gun damage actually applies to the bod multiple times, so if you're able to get 50 stacks up, that's 100% extra gun damage, and then actually ends up being 500% extra gun damage for the bod, so yeah, it gets nutty with that. And to get yourself a class mod here, you're going to go to the Umbral Foundry and fight Vile Lictor, most annoying boss to fight for this, but I would say it's actually worth it if you like the effects that you saw there. And for our best class mod for Rafa, it is the Dancer. Now, as I mentioned, it's kind of up in the air between these two here. So with the Instigator, it's obviously better if you can stick in the boss's face. But this one, you don't have to focus on a particular gameplay style. This is just straight up good. Overdrive bonuses are increased 100%. That's amazing. And Overdrive ends whenever Rafa's action skill duration ends. This is fantastic because then in our Overdrive, which normally only lasts 12 seconds, we can then keep it up longer and longer. And if you got abilities that are going to extend the duration of your Overdrive, you can of your action skill, you can keep Overdrive up pretty much indefinitely, which is nice. So it means that movement speed increased by 25% is now a 50% increase. The damage is from 10% to 20%, so that's nice too. But then it also will take some of the buffs here, like Barrage. So this is an Overdrive skill. This will double now. You get 70% splash damage, now it's 140. So that's nuts. Also, this comes with some incredible skill rolls. So what you can get from this is Soltado, kill skill, double all Overdrive bonuses. Yeah, it's nuts. And that actually increases duration too. You got the Tema Mario here, an Overdrive skill, increasing our gun damage. This is nice. If you can get 5 points in this is going to be really good because that ends up being 100% extra gun damage at 10 stacks, which is massive. And we gain stacks every second Overdrive is active, losing all stacks when Overdrive ends. So obviously, if we can keep our Overdrive up, which we will with the class mod, the damage boost from Tema Mario gets crazy high. And then you also have, with his class mod, things like the Sustainable Energy Overdrive skill, getting health regeneration based on how much Overdrive time is remaining. So that will just give you flat out regeneration of your health. Crazy. And then the Thrill, another Overdrive skill, gaining increased fire rate, which is increased even further when our Overdrive is active. So you can actually get a lot of really high damage boosting rolls in this. It does give you action skill cooldown rate boost, which is not good. But, I mean, the class mod itself speaks for itself. It's got some of the best skill rolls. It's got boosting your Overdrive benefits, which is just absurd. And then making it last forever. So it brings a lot of value. And as I mentioned, this was a tough one between the Instigator and the Dancer. Depending on how you play, this may be the second place one and the Instigator first. And to get yourself a Dancer class mod, you got to go to fight Idolator Soul, who's annoying to farm as well, but you can get this one early on, so it's actually really nice. So there it is. Those are the best class mods for Rafa in Borderlands 4. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Let me know which character you'd like to see next. I previously did Vex, and I'll be doing the rest here soon, so subscribe if you enjoy. We'll catch y'all in the next one.